What is your position on Arizona's immigration policy, and how will you address illegal immigration in California?
Well, number one, I support Arizona's position on illegal immigration to basically enforce federal law that already exists. And I believe that the whole issue has been hijacked by an emotional lobbying group that's trying to promote their own agenda that's contrary even to the law that they say they're fighting. As a legislator in California, I would support legislation similar or exactly the same as the Arizona law so that we can support our law enforcement officers here in California and give them the same backing from the state that Arizona is giving their law enforcement officers.
Microphone to Ms. Rubin, please.
I support Arizona's SB 1070. My son goes to Arizona State University, lives in Tempe. I have spoken out against what I call the media inciting a civil war with Arizona and all of the local municipalities, what I've called dogpiling onto Arizona. When the state Senate said they were going to boycott Arizona, Arizona should have stood up and said, yeah, California, you're deadbeat, you're going to be out of cash by June. Who cares? LA stands up and says, we are going to boycott Arizona, and Arizona says, and we'll turn the lights off. You know, we are, one nation under God, let's face it. And the 10th Amendment says when the federal government's not doing its job or anything that doesn't fall to the federal government, it's the state's rights. And Arizona has the right to protect itself.
I support Arizona's right to protect its citizens and to protect its border. And I think California should do the same thing. I think the first thing we should do to protect our border is to build a fence. If I came to my house and I saw a broken pipe spewing water into my living room, the first thing I do is shut off the water. And then I go on to what's next in the cleanup process. And I think that the state and the federal government has to do the same thing. The state of California has to put tremendous pressure on the federal government to step up and take care of this problem and stop ignoring it. I work in an emergency room. I do psychiatric evaluations at Paradise Valley Hospital. I see the ravages of what happens when unchecked illegal immigration happens, what's happening every day to the amount of money you're spending to take care of people that are not legally obligated to be in this country. We obviously have to deal with it, we have to be compassionate about it, but we have to deal with it very strongly.
Thank you. Microphone here. Mr. Stone.
In the state of California, we spend $10.5 billion a year on illegal immigrants. And as a county supervisor, I see the impacts on our jails, our hospitals, our schools. I don't believe that any public money should be going for any services for illegal immigrants. I would like to take the Arizona law. I'd like to write a bill in the state legislature, but I'd like to add a caveat to that. I'd like to have the National Guard at the border, not build a fence, the National Guard to prevent illegal immigrants from coming into this country. My stance has been embraced by Sheriff Joe Arpaio, as you know, has been the toughest sheriff on illegal immigration in this country. And I'm going to safeguard our borders, something the federal government has completely abrogated the responsibility to do.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens.
I agree with Arizona and would support similar legislation in the state of California. I believe we need to stop in-state tuition for students in UC schools that are not here legally. I don't believe in sanctuary cities. I believe in E-Verify. And some time back, being in the Guard at one time, I asked the same type of thing, that the governor, I'll write a letter to ask the governor to put the Guard on our southern border as a third layer of defense behind Border Patrol, behind the county sheriff, and then the Guard. My wife spent a lot of time this last month in Grossmont Hospital, and as we were sitting in the emergency room for over 10 hours, I watched 2 Border Patrol agents sit with a guy with a sprained foot who was in handcuffs. And those 2 guys were not on the border, and then a county sheriff came in and sat with those 2 Border Patrol agents for 10 hours. And I realized we've lost a county sheriff and 2 Border Patrol agents. Let's take the Guard, let's put a field hospital down somewhere by Campo or somewhere in the back country. When one of those guys gets injured, this is a humanitarian effort. When one of them gets injured, you take them to the field clinic instead of to Grossmont.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clay.
I'm concerned about all this talk of spending money on putting the Guard and fences up in a state where we don't apparently have that money. That's certainly a concern, but especially considering that really the problem is very simple. We hire them. They come here because they're jobs, because they can get hired. Just tighter enforcement of existing laws is all we need. I came across a person who manufactures electronic components for weapon systems. And he said the problem is that when he hires a person, he doesn't find out for 6 months back from the federal government that they're using a fake Social Security card. Certainly, if he had instant response on that information, they would find out quickly that they can't hire people or find out who these people are immediately and cut down on the incidence of hiring. If we close down the jobs, there won't be an issue. We won't need Border Patrol, fences, National Guard down there. We simply stop hiring them. It's time to stop really pretending that they just come here anyway. They come here for the jobs.
Go ahead and move on. We're going to turn our